Hey, how are you? I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Fantasy Six Pack. And Merry Christmas to all of you. Merry Christmas morning, or if you're watching this right before midnight, whatever you're into. Hopefully, you can gather around the Christmas tree or the table or in front of the raging fire that you're going to have this morning while you're eating your French toast and your pancakes with your friends and family. And you can watch me, some schlub, talking about DFS because we have two solid professional football games today. They're 1 p.m. start and a 4:30 p.m. start, so it's an all-day event of family, friends, Santa Claus, gift giving, and just joy and peace all over the world. Fingers crossed that happens. So instead of going down the barrel of or diving into go to the website, check it out. I mean, this should be, it's not a freebie. The videos are always free, but you know the deal by now, right? If you want to get a subscription, get there and check it out and look around. I would ask you that you come and hang in the Discord with me and Keith and Dave, and even Joe is in there. And last I looked, our fearless leader, Joe Bond, is first overall in terms of rankings. And we're looking at, what are we doing? This is week 17 starts today, Christmas, and he's been first this whole kit and caboodle. So in Joe, we trust. When we look at these football games, right, there's two very good ones. The Kansas City Chiefs go to Pittsburgh to battle the Steelers. That one kicks off at 1 p.m., over under around 44 total points. And then the second leg of this thing, the Baltimore Ravens go to Houston to battle the Texans. That one is at 4:30 p.m., over under around 46.5 points. So which way are we going to go? Which way are we going to lean? I'm just going to tell you how it is. I'm playing the full two-game slate. Single game slates, those are fun. I've made a living and I've done those single game slate videos for years, and thanks to your support and everything, the comments and the shares and the supports. So thank you for that. That's a good Christmas gift that I've been given over the years. But for this sake, I've done this a lot. Monday Night Football double headers. We just jump right in and we build the full line on FanDuel and DraftKings. So let's start with this. When we look at the teams that are playing, Kansas City, they've already clinched their division. But Pittsburgh, they've clinched a spot in the playoffs. So both teams playing each other already in the playoffs. On the other side, same deal. Houston, they've already clinched their division, and Baltimore has already punched their ticket to the postseason as well. So what are we going to do? You got Houston's already won the division. Kansas City's already won the division. So what's left to play for? Well, Pittsburgh could be playoff seeding. Same thing for Baltimore, playoff seeding. Baltimore is 10-5, and when you look at Pittsburgh, they're 10-5 as well, and they're in the same division. So both teams need to win, and then maybe next week something they'll figure it out. But let's get right into it. I've talked for 3 minutes, but it's been a good 3 minutes. I think I've talked, not a lot of pauses, not a lot of dead air, not a lot of ums or nothing like that. So let's talk about it, right? There's a few quarterbacks I want to mention, and we'll go from there. I've built 4 lines, and I promise you I will not forget. When I edit this video, they're going to pop up. It's going to go boop, boop, boop. They're going to pop up everywhere, and you're more than welcome to copy those, or if you play along during the length of a video, grab a pen and a piece of paper now, or I'll make it easy for you, and I'll just show you the line, and we'll go from there. I don't expect any money. If you do win, I don't expect any money to be given back to me, but it would be nice, wouldn't it, if someone would have hand you money? But let's start at the top, right? Russell Wilson playing Kansas City. KC's 13th overall against opposing quarterbacks. And again, in this one, is Kansas City going to be laxed and light because of what they've already accomplished? And Russell Wilson, after last week, he fumbled the football at the goal line, kind of threw Pittsburgh for a loop here. But when you look at Russ Wilson, he's played fairly well given, his age and what has happened. So Russ Wilson, 20 to 21 completions, 230 yards, a touchdown pass, and around 4 to 5 carries for 15 yards. Patrick Mahomes is also in play for me this week in Pittsburgh. They're 5th overall against opposing quarterbacks. I have Patrick Mahomes, 24 to 25 completions. So that tells you that they're not letting off the gas. They're just like, pedal to the metal here. Mahomes will throw 2 touchdown passes and around 20 yards on the ground. Last time he played, he was was a rushing fool. I heard the end of the game on the radio in my car, and at a certain point, Patrick Mahomes was leading the Chiefs in rushing yards. And again, that was, maybe Pat did that in his first few years in Kansas City, but now as a superstar, as a 3-time Super Bowl champ, they're like, chill out, throw the ball and let our running backs do that. But me, I cannot get away. Lamar Jackson is in an absolute great spot, in a smash spot. Everybody's talking about him as MVP. Are we going to see one of those 4 or 5 touchdown games, 450 all-purpose yards? We could against Houston. They're 20th overall against opposing quarterbacks, but Lamar Jackson is a stone-cold stud. DVP in opposing defenses, why would we even bother talking about them? But Lamar Jackson, 18 to 19 completions, around 225 yards, 2 touchdown passes, 9 to 10 carries for around 50 yards, and there could be a case to be made that he finds the end zone with his legs, which would give him 3 scores overall for the day. As we go down the list, my notes are weird. They're all blocky. They're blocks, and then I have a big, like, hurrah, like a grand finale at the end of the show. Because my notes, I've started writing down flex spots. Joe Mixon, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews. I drew a red line across him. DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Austin III, John Mechie III, Jaylen Warren. And I was like, this is getting out of control. So we're going to keep it at the top of the video of my notes. And when we get to the end, it'll be a grand hurrah, which I basically already did. So that won't be too much. When we look at the running backs here, I originally wrote down 2 guys, Kareem Hunt and Derrick Henry. Let's start with Kareem Hunt, and I know a lot of optimizers have been popping in Isaiah Pacheco. But Isaiah Pacheco, and if you want to use him, have at it. I have him in at least one line, which you'll see here at the end of the video. But he has struggled in a way since coming back, and Kareem Hunt is just, slogging away, scoring touchdowns, running people over. So to me, I would prefer Kareem Hunt in this matchup. Pittsburgh, 10th overall against opposing running backs, 9-10 carries, around 40 yards, and I'm looking at 1 or 2 receptions, not a strong suit. That's more Pacheco, but Hunt, around 10 to 15 yards in the receptions. When we get to Derrick Henry now, price tags don't matter. He is 8-6 on FanDuel, more than doable. Houston 6th overall against running backs. But again, Derrick Henry doesn't matter. Same deal with Jackson. Opposing defenses, are they shaking in their boots? They say they aren't, but more than likely they are. I'm shaking in my boots when I watch Derrick Henry run the football. 21 to 22 carries, 100 yards is a lock, a touchdown is a lock, and I have him 10 to 15 yards on a reception or 2. So to me, with Derrick Henry, given my final score, I'll give it away now. I have Baltimore to hang 31 points. I could see a case where Derrick Henry gets to 150 yards and scores multiple touchdowns. Would anybody be shocked? Would that be a Christmas miracle? Over the years, we've watched Christmas games, and how many times? I think Alvin Kamara did it once where he scored 6 times, and he had a red cleat and a green cleat. That would be cool to see Henry with a red cleat and a green cleat, and he's the Grinch, and he's just pushing people over, and he gets to 200 rushing yards and 2-3 touchdowns. So will that happen? Probably not. Would it be cool if it did? Absolutely. When we go down the list, I'm looking at wide receivers. I love the idea of stacking both Baltimore Ravens wide receivers, Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers right now is questionable, so I'm going to read along as if Zay Flowers is going to play. More than likely he will, but if Zay is inactive, 100% ownership with Rashad Bateman in my world here. But Zay Flowers, 7-8 targets, 5-6 receptions, 75 yards, and a touchdown. If he doesn't play, we can just take all those statistics and give them to Rashad Bateman. As I was saying, if Zay Flowers plays, that's what he gets. If he doesn't, give Rashad Bateman 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, 45 to 50 yards. And we'll move on. Now we get to the next point in the video where optimizers were telling me one thing, but I always write everything down from my gut, from what I see first. And I wrote down Xavier Worthy and DeAndre Hopkins. Come to find out, I was partially right. DeAndre Hopkins was the darling of the optimizer, where Xavier Woods was nowhere to be found. So let's look at Xavier Woods briefly. 7-8 targets, 4 to 5 receptions, 65 to 70 yards, and a carry or two for 10 yards. And if we rewind the video back, or if you remember, I have Mahomes to throw for 2 touchdowns. Where are they going to go? Travis Kelce, he could have a monster Christmas game just for the magic of Christmas and, to make it possible. Who knows? But Xavier Worthy could wind up finding the end zone. But when we look at DeAndre Hopkins, he's more of the trusted kind of guy, whereas Xavier Worthy is a toy to be used by Andy Reid's offensive schemes and all that. So to me, DeAndre Hopkins is the one I'm going to want here. 5-6 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, around 35 to 40 yards. And you're going to say, well, the yardage for D-Hop is light. Well, yeah, I can't make these videos and go, DeAndre Hopkins is going to have 85 yards, 90 yards, and I'd look like a fool. So most times, not all the time, most times I go with not a little bit over the floor so that when they do hit, I know I knew it, but I didn't want to give you the full deal of it all. Is that weird? Is that genius of me? I don't know. The next man up would be Pat Freiermuth, the tight end for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's been fantastic. Russ Wilson has been using him, and Kansas City 30th overall against opposing tight ends. I could see a case here where Pittsburgh will win. I have Pittsburgh to win this game and score 24 points. Shocking, I know. But Pat Freiermuth, 4 or 5 targets, 4 to 5 receptions, 35 to 40 yards. So you're looking at a case here where in a sports book bet, you can target him. Like, let's say he's targeted 5 times, he catches 5 passes. He'll be 100% catch rate for Pat Freiermuth on Christmas Day. Be a magical thing. Now when we get into the block of flex plays, and there's like 17 of them, and we just eclipsed 11 minutes of the video. I was thinking it's going to get to 20 minutes, but no, we'll cut this thing out in like a minute or two and we'll go from there. We could do a lightning round if you wanted to, since it's Christmas. I know your friends and family are there. Hopefully you've had an alcoholic beverage or two by now, an eggnog with some rum, so you're more liberal with your money on FanDuel or DraftKings. Hopefully, fingers crossed. That's how you're living this morning. Oh, or a mimosa or two. So when we look at the chunk of flex plays that I have, it starts with Joe Mixon, just because he's really the only game in town for Houston after that unfortunate Tank Dell incident, and it's a bummer. People are making fun of C.J. Stroud for crying. I mean, come on. Do you have any heart at all? They're best friends. They're teammates. They lay it all on the line for each other, So chill out. Quit being an asshole. If someone, his knee was sideways, his patellar tendon is toast, and he's crying and he followed the ambulance. I mean, that's a dude I want in my corner. You're making fun of him, and I want him on my team, so we're not the same. So as I was saying, I shouldn't be mean or rude on Christmas, but hey, sometimes it happens. When we look at Joe Mixon, 15, 16 carries, 60 yards, a lock for a touchdown, and around 30 yards on 4 to 5 receptions. I wanted to say Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, you can use those two guys, 1-2 punch, a 1-2 punch tight end combo, but I have a better one. My tight end combo is Dalton Schultz and Isaiah Likely. You can, log it down, write it, or rewatch the video or rewind it. I would rather have Dalton Schultz and Isaiah Likely. And that's just from a salary perspective. And Dalton Schultz, 7-8 targets without Tank Dell. Schultz is going to see more work, and trust me, he's going to be popping up in all your optimizers this morning before you lock in your lines. So give me Dalton Schultz, 7-8 targets, 4 to 5 receptions, around 50 yards. And when you look at Likely, and this would be if Zay Jones is out, I would feel way more comfortable with Isaiah Likely. If Zay Jones is playing, Likely can be left on the sideline, or if you got some stones, if you want to, play the game with me here, then Isaiah Likely is a start regardless. But Likely, 3 to 4 targets, 2 to 3 receptions, 25 to 30 yards. And lastly, I mentioned it in the beginning of the video, Calvin Austin III, Pittsburgh's playing Kansas City, John Mechie III, Houston maybe steps up in the wake of the Tank Dell injury, and Jaylen Warren, the Pittsburgh running back, who's always around, just needs to break 1 or 2 good runs here. So of the 3, I would probably prefer, I prefer all 3. So make sure you get all 3 in where you can. So before I split, Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game 24-20 on a wonderful opening game for Christmas. And when we look at Baltimore and Houston, I think Baltimore really runs away with this thing and they win 31-17. So now it makes sense why I love the idea of Lamar Jackson and Rashad Bateman, Derrick Henry, and Zay Flowers. And just be mindful of Zay. I've said it a few times, but I trust you. You're smart. You know what you're doing. So before we split, I want to say Merry Christmas to you and yours. Thank you for everything you continue to do for me throughout the season, the support of reading Bottom of the Barrel, watching these videos, sharing them, liking them, subscribing, tagging me, telling your friends. That's the best way to kind of get the content up and where view-wise where it needs to be. I've never been in this for the views and the adulation. I'm in it because I love to do this. I've said this before. If the camera and the microphone was taken away, I'd be okay. I'd still be doing my notes. I would wake up and do my notes regardless of an affiliation to a website. Yes, getting paid a few bucks is nice, but I could do without all of that, and I would still be happy with my pen, my paper, and doing my DFS notes. So again, thank you. I love all of you. I really do appreciate you. And so Merry Christmas to you and yours. May you get every gift that you ask for. If you do get a puppy or a cat, make sure you love that animal throughout the length of its life. And if you get proposed to, say yes. Why not? What do you got to lose? Don't know the guy or girl, but I'm telling you now, if you get proposed to, say yes. I think you'll enjoy it. If you do say no, I don't know. You can blame me. I'll be used as a sounding board or a shoulder to cry on. Trust me. So Merry Christmas. I love all of you. Be good. Be safe. And we'll do this again sometime soon. Bye-bye.